Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Anyway, today we're going to work on a clock from Great Britain. It's I do believe you'd call it a carriage clock, even though it looks like a mantle clock. This clock doesn't have a way to carry it, but it doesn't necessarily have a pendulum. Anyway, this clock is fully wound, and there's instructions just on the inside of the door that tell you that you should have the escape oiled. So anyway, let's take a look at this clock. To me, it looks like it's been in the house taken care of because the box is really nice. So this is a clock. It does have, that might be the grain, otherwise it might be just starting to crack a little bit, but otherwise the finish really looks nice. Don't know how old this clock is. It could use a little bit of cleanup on the brass. It's not bad. I think that says bedtime or BENTIMA. B-E-N-T-I-M-E, I do believe. It says the 8-day, made in Great Britain. It is running a bit slow, I think, when it comes to the gong. This in here is the escapement, and over on the door here it tells you right on it you need to have that thing taken care of. So let's go ahead and remove the movement and see just what it needs, if that's all it needs is that cleaned, oiled, or whatever. This has brads in it, so I would say this, roughly speaking, isn't supposed to come off, and the dial is separate from the door frame because it also has 4 brads in it. By the looks of it, we're going to take the gong off next, because so far I don't see how else to get it out. And yeah, there's screws I should be able to reach, so let's take this out next. Just undo the nut in here. So I have the screws out. Let's see if we can get this thing out easily enough or not. That wasn't too bad. This movement looks really clean, but it should look clean sitting in the box like that. And right there, I don't know if you can see that or not, it looks like a King Neptune on there, and it looks like a clock dial with its numbers and hands. Anyway, let's go ahead and oil this side up. I've already oiled the other side of what I could reach. There was nothing really on this side, so everything got oiled on this side. Let's oil this side, and then we're going to mess with this escape and see what we can do with that to get it to start running. This here looks like it might have a jewel. I have to get better glasses or something. I can't tell if that's red in there. I'm sorry I got carried away. This here is supposed to go into the teeth, and it was catching the side and sliding down in, and so you can see where this has got a loop on here or whatever. I went ahead and bent that in a little bit, and now it's catching a lot better, and it just makes it along the side, because if I was to bend it anymore, I think that this clock would have a problem of ever shutting off. So anyway, this here seems to want to run maybe on its, let's see, there it stops. So we're going to go ahead and take this out and see where we can play with this to get it cleaned. The spring is wound up all the way. I think I'm going to go ahead and let the spring down. I was going to stick a screwdriver in here to hold it, but I think it would be better to just let it down. Now I can take those 4 screws out and look at it. There's a chance now that was covered up. I can oil that one also. So I'm going to take this screw out and this screw out. We can get this plate off, and this way we can, because that I do believe is a jewel, and same on the other side, so there's no way you can just put a drop of oil there and expect it to go in. And so if I take those 2 screws out, should be able to get in here and oil the ends. Although if you look at this, it seems to be rocking pretty nicely. I mean, it has no pressure on here to make it run because we took it off. But let me try getting those screws out and take this apart so you can at least oil inside where the jewels are. We're going to pull this flywheel off so we can, besides oil this end, the opposite end. And I'm going to do that off camera because I don't want to disconnect the spring on here. I don't know if you can read that or not, but in my opinion, I can't see what it is, but I'm pretty sure it isn't a plus or a minus. I'm not sure what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and install this back on the clock, and as you see here, it does have kind of like a hook. You have to put it in and pull it down. to get it to connect to the gear it's supposed to be on. So we get that screwed back on, wind this up and see what happens. Well, you can see it's ticking now, not having a problem at all. It's got a good movement on the wheel with the spring, the wire spring on it. So I think that might have hopefully taken care of this. Besides a little bit of oil everywhere else, at least this here, like it says on the door, got oiled properly, I guess. So because this case is in really good shape, I don't know how old this clock is, if it even has any age, but I really like it, and I like the idea. This has been taken care of quite well, it seems to me. And so I think all I'm going to do is go ahead and put the Howard's wax on, and that's because it's easy, I guess. And it says it's a conditioner. Watching other channels, on the professionals, let's say, they don't consider this a conditioner, but they actually do use this on their clocks too, or woodworking things, tables, grandfather clocks, that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do, is go ahead and soak that in here and hope for the best. So this isn't being powered enough, because it will run for a while, then it stops, runs for a while and stops. And I have a feeling the main springs need to be cleaned, so we're going to go ahead and clean this whole movement. So again, I'm going to let these springs down. I'll start to wind it up. I'll pull this lever back, it's a clicker, and that way I can relieve the spring from hopefully any of the pressure it has. So we'll be taking these barrel springs apart too, because like I say, I think that's the main thing that's wrong with this clock, is the barrel springs. They're probably dirty inside. So if you're going to attempt this, don't forget to take your pictures. You want pictures of the front of your clock so you can get all these outer gears and pieces back in. I notice this doesn't have E-clips here. That's a wire that holds this down. I've decided, after I get the front pictures taken, this here is where the hand shaft is. I'm going to have that pointing down so I can look inside here this way to take all this apart, because this way I can get these springs set down in there, and all these gears will be top heavy, but it should be fine, I'm hoping. So let me get my pictures taken. So looking over this movement, my levers that come through, it's kind of unique. They've got these keepers here that hold them in, and not a E-clip, which is obviously cheaper. That really, let's say, impresses me. Whether the rest of the clock's cheap, I have no idea, but that impresses me. Here you can see your warning pin sitting in there, give you an idea of where this stuff is. And we're going to try to take this apart to where we can, actually it's going to be the other way around, we can pull this off and take a picture of the gears away right where they're sitting. But first off, I'm going to take all of this stuff off here in order to make it easier for me to take the other side off, I guess. And like I say, we have S wire there, S wire there, And of course our screws here, they'll take these off. In fact, I don't think so. There's a chance that these here might just slide out. So I already took my washer off of there. So now you get the snail off. We're going to take a look at this gear after we get it off. See if it's got a pre-made barrel on here or what. It doesn't. All this has is a washer, and this has already got its riser there. It's all together. We got the S off of that. And let's go ahead and take these off. I think I'd loosen that up, the frame, get that out. Okay, I think the next thing we'll do is take these off. To get this one off, we're going to have to pull the Pac-Man. Normally I don't like messing with pulling the Pac-Man, but it's going to have to be, and it might be easier timing it once we get this thing together again. That doesn't want to come off, and as I'm twisting it, it looks like that shaft is not twisting with it. So we're just going to leave it just the way it is. This will have to go in the same time I put the plate back on, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and move my feet to the other side now. So there is a spring wire coming up from this plate here, coming up and holding on to here. Got it released. So I think we're ready to pull this. I do know when I pull it, this here kind of needs to move forward. Yeah, maybe I should have taken it off. I still might have to. But maybe not. And if I wanted to, I imagine I could pull that taper pin, which wouldn't be really a problem because it is a taper pin. So now's the time to get a picture and get more than one picture so you can see easily where each of these gears go. Because once you start doing this, the gears start looking kind of like the same. For example, this one here looks like the same size as this, but this one has gears on it that you can look and see with your picture, where this one's just a stub that comes up. And that's the one that goes into or onto this right inside there. So let's go ahead and take this apart. We'll take this wheel back off. This is our gear. This is the one that goes to our yeah, that. And so that would be the time side, the one I just took off, including these here. I don't know if that one won't come out because it has a gear on it, but you notice if I want to take it out, there's a taper pin there. There's a friction washer here, and that's what keeps your hands snug as it's going around compared to just falling willy-nilly. Like I say, it's not too bad. And I'm going to keep these separate so I can take a look at them, knowing this is the time side. And over here is the gong side. It counts the half hour and the hour only. Here's a warning pin sitting clear up here, probably at the, let's say, the 11 o'clock position. This one here is the one that goes to the Pac-Man, so it won't come out. This one's kind of, let's call it, stuck in there. So it might be just that it's got aged oil in there, and that might be why the clock's stopping, but it seemed to run pretty good and then all of a sudden want to stop. And you can tell the darkness in them teeth there, that it does have age to it. Because I'm not really picking up much of anything on the ends. Now this will come out. I don't know why I didn't want to before, but so we'll go ahead and get these all into a container that I can stick into my parts cleaner. These don't come out there. I'm going to call them riveted in. And so I'm not going to have a heart attack. I don't want to leave these plates in too long because I'm sure they're probably have a lacquer on them. The gears I don't mind one way or another. So let me get the container for them. That's ready to go when I'm ready to put them in. It's still a little bit chilly in the cleaner. And that spring looks dry. That looks dry as well. And dirty along, I don't know if you can see that along the outside or the outer part of the spring. So we'll be cleaning them. That's probably all this clock needed, but why do a half whatever job when we have a chance of doing the whole clock movement? Both of these wind the same way, so it's not too important. I'm going to be cleaning them anyway. This idea of getting them out. So that's old oil that's just dried up feeling. There's no moisture there, we'll say. These are just dry, dry, dry. They kind of have a sticky feel, if anything. There's a wad of oil right there at the... And that could have been because I will admit I did squirt a little bit of oil in there, not that much. But I was trying to put it in through here just in case it might need it. So it's a good thing the clock stopped, let's call it, stopped running. And now we can take these things apart. So another clock guy I work for, or I don't work for, I watch, and his name is Time 4 Clocks. He had this unit here, and I kind of Skyped the name off of his channel when he was showing it, and the reason why I went ahead and got what he got is because he knows how to do this research stuff, and I was trusting that this here product was possibly a nice product. So the reason why I got this out, and in back here I think it was, is a place somewhere in here. There's a place where you can turn up the light. There it is. And the reason why I'm doing that is this spring I ran through the cleaner, and I figured we'll take a look at, let's call it, the scars that are on this thing. And I'm going to show that now, and then we're going to look at it after I'm done cleaning this. think right there is where I want to focus in. Let's see if I can get it clear. Oops, get it clearer. I think that's the best I'm going to do. Doesn't come in real clear. And maybe it's because I need more of the light where it is. But you can see the old oil on here and the dirt that the clock movement cleaner didn't take care of. Now let me clean this up and we'll take a look at it after I'm done. I use this in the brownish red colored scratchy pad. And after I'm done, after I'm done using this, then I'm going to go ahead and use the denatured alcohol to clean that up, take that off, and then I'll oil this. But you can see how it's already coming clean. Now it's nice if you had a bench vise where you could put a screwdriver in here, tighten this down on the screwdriver, and that way you can just keep pulling this thing back as you're cleaning. And pulling this back also possibly gets rid of that memory and makes this spring much bigger, so that way if your clock only runs, if it's an 8-day clock and it only runs for 6, this should help this become an 8-day clock again. So now let's take a look at this one more time with this cleaned. So now it looks like, you can see, let's say the scratches in it maybe, but you can see this has the old oils off of this now. And so now I've got my Mainspring lube. If you were to ever order it, there's different weights. I couldn't figure out which weight I needed because I do so many different clocks, so I tried to get one in between small springs and large springs. And I have this rag here I keep with it. I just stick some on here. And I just run it all through this and back again. As far as I can get it in there. Now this is ready to go in the barrel. And I also like to take this into the bottom of the barrel and on the sides, because this heavier oil is not going to hurt anything, and it's also on the bottom is going to make it slide a lot better. And I don't know if you've noticed, but this spring is bigger looking now, so I did change the memory in it, and on that one too. So I made my adjustments, made sure that the star wheel in there makes the gong hammer strike where it should. Originally, when it was ramping up, or when it's done with its chime, it would come up like this, and I didn't want it to be coming up. Maybe it's better because it's already taken most of friction off, but it's a real fine point of where your warning pin is. When it moves, this moves up even more, and you don't want this to fall off that star wheel. So I'll hold this gear, the easier one. We'll turn this. See, a great big move for the warning pin, but the hammer hasn't come up yet. And right there it's going to strike. We'll turn this around and show you. And after it falls, it stops, and this doesn't move until the warning pin again, if I can do this. There's the warning pin. It hasn't moved yet. Now it's doing a single gong again, in which the reason why it's only doing a single, I don't have my snail on there to catch anything. So when I put this on, I forgot to tell you, it does have a little bit of weight on there. I'm not sure what this spring there's for. Looks like a spring metal or whatever. Unless it's there to become the point that drops onto the snail. This is falling nicely into each one of the teeth. And there it shuts off. So now I got to pay attention because I didn't look. When we bring this around a half hour, my fingers out of the way. Let's bring this to the hour drop. And what we're going to do is we're watching for this pin here where it hits on the snail here. So see, we're hitting clear back here, and I need it to fall closer to the ramp down. So I'm going to pull the snail back and move it one tooth. We still have time. It's not done, let's say, counting the time. So there it dropped to where it can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's done. I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my pins in everywhere on here, including my washer to hold the snail in. And then I think what I'm going to do is put in taper pins, because I don't have any of that wire. So I think I'm ready to put this in the case. I don't know if you can read what's on this key, but it does say Swiss made 4.50. And I'm not sure what that says. It's kind of maybe double stamped. So I think it's wonderful. I got this clock working again, and especially because it was made in Britain, and it's nice to have different countries or whatever of their clocks. And originally I was thinking I don't really care about having different countries, but if I like the looks of the clock, I'm gonna get it. And this happened to hit the right spot, I guess, for the collectors. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe because it's free. Give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Check out the very end of the video and you'll see a couple people that seem to work on clocks and know what they're talking about. Anyway, you have a great week and God bless.